Ever wonder what the future of work will look like? In the Hope at Work podcast, you will be exposed to new workplace norms, modern technologies, and unconventional ideas, all from a positive point of view. You'll never look at work the same way again. Welcome, Natalie Fine. It is so good to see you. So good to have you on the podcast.
I am super excited for today's conversation, Marcus. When we get together, the magic happens.
Me too. Hey, before we jump in, maybe you could give the audience a bit of an understanding of your background, what you're focusing your time and attention on today.
Happy to. So my holy trinity is being an executive whisperer, a storyteller, and a leadership coach. And my specialty is dimensionalizing and scaling thought leadership. My career has spanned a number of settings. The basis and the foundation was in public relations agencies. I've also worked for some professional services firms like Accenture and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then some pretty big tech companies like SAP and IBM. Overall, I'd say the thing that I'm finding myself in now, which brought us together, is an accelerated focus on people, talent, and culture. Overall, I'd say if you had to say, what's your superpower, Natalie? It's helping both companies and individuals unleash their talent in service of the growth of the person, growth of the product, of the mission, if it's a not-for-profit company. And the other thing that's me is really leading with purpose on purpose.
I love that. We should start every conversation describing what our superpowers are. Thank you for that, Natalie. So you and I met earlier this year in New York and immediately connected on a specific topic, and that is the need to prepare the next generation of leaders and managers to step into these supervisory roles and to serve the workforce well. So maybe we can start there with just your overall thoughts on this challenge.
It is truly a unique moment. We have these 5 generations currently working together. The need to understand who's working now is real. So the next leaders are going to need to refine a number of skills and tools in their tool belt. But what I'm thinking about is something that I'm calling next leadership. And this isn't just describing an age cohort or a generation. It's really the way in which people are going to lead, regardless of age. And it's important to prepare those folks so that they can retain great talent, attract great talent, and cultivate a great team culture. That's really the critical thing.
I love this concept of next. And I think that's really important to recognize. This isn't necessarily a conversation about age or even generation in terms of the differences, but more the similarities and what we all expect as human beings in the workplace. So let me ask you a question, Natalie. When you look at how prepared organizations are today, are they committing the time and the resources and training and development to this next generation, or do you think they need some convincing?
It varies, but in the end, I would say, Marcus, there needs to be a value placed on investing capital into human beings. I remember there was a time when people would get a professional stipend to take a course or attend a conference. In many companies, this has been cut or so drastically reduced that it hardly gets you much. The one area of hope, I'd say there are actually 2. One is in the arena of some companies and organizations, in part an outgrowth from COVID and work from home and what it was like to be in lockdown, are experimenting with some benefits and platforms that they are offering to everyone. Things like Headspace for employees, or BetterUp, or various mindful apps. Some companies are creating and blooming with mindfulness organizations or offerings inside the companies, or offering coaching for free through internal employee coaching systems. The other thing that I'm noticing is employee resource groups, or ERG.
Yeah.
They're really having a moment. They have always fostered a sense of community and belonging and inclusion. but they also offer a common purpose or passion or topic or area of interest that employees can rally around and show up for. In my view, Marcus, at this point, ERGs are table stakes, and so are providing some of these benefits like Headspace. What we really need to see is an even greater commitment and set of resources to develop our next leaders.
Yeah, I totally agree with the advent of the employee resource groups. I've seen that a lot in my employer at Infor, and I love it. I just finished a book about Guinness, the beer company, and the amazing corporate social responsibility that they showed back in the 1800s, Natalie. They essentially had these employee resource groups way back then. So I love that you brought that up. I also love that you talked about we need to invest capital into human beings. You're giving me all these great sound bites. I appreciate that.
They're not copyrighted. Go right ahead.
Good. Stealing shamelessly. So as you look at where we are today and how things are changing, obviously the pandemic forced us to evolve and to work differently. How do you see it continuing to evolve into the future?
Yeah, great question. I'm seeing increasingly a range of styles that are not only gaining awareness, but also traction. And there's a difference between the two. You can have YouTube videos and posts on social media and offerings in an online training course catalog. But what is actually being integrated and acted upon in terms of how leaders within companies and not-for-profits and the world of education, like anywhere, there is a place to lead.
Finding a great career has always been a challenge. But today, with the massive changes underway in just about every sector of the economy, in just about every country in the world, finding a great new career is even more challenging. And if you're a student, recent graduate, or someone else early in their career, it's even harder for you because you just don't have the experience that those who might be 10, 20, 30 years older than you have. The answer? The podcast, From Dorms to Desks, a podcast by College Recruiter job search site, where every week we take a deep dive into a topic specifically of interest to candidates who are early in their careers and looking for a great part-time, seasonal, internship, or other entry-level job.
So I think about things like conscious leadership. I often think of that as above the line or below the line. If anyone on your listenership is familiar with this, John Mackey created it. Above the line has a number of traits, but it's this idea of operating in an open mindset and growth mindset, whereas below the line is closed. Personal leadership, Hitendra Wadhwa at the Columbia School of Business, one of the consistently most crowded classes and also offered online through executive education at Columbia. He has this whole mindset that infuses inner mastery, outer impact, and make sure you get purpose, wisdom, growth, love, and self-realization into how you show up and how you lead. There's another concept around neuroleadership that David Rock and the Neuroleadership Institute developed that's really building on brain science. The last I just recently learned about, and I'm really excited about this, Marcus, it's called adaptive leadership. And it isn't new. It actually started about 40 years ago or so at the Harvard Kennedy School. I had a conversation recently with the Associate Dean at the NYU Silver School of Social Work, Linda LaSalle Bryant. And it's this idea that leadership is an activity. It's not a role. It can be practiced regardless of one's authority or title. Now, why does that resonate so much and what could be new and coming up? This idea that you don't have to wait till you get the title. And so that's a bit radical. It makes a different way of thinking and operating and showing up, even if you are a team of me.
Yeah, totally. I think the adaptability piece really critical right now. And you consider the VUCA environment we're in. I don't know if you've ever heard that terminology. It's an old military term, stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I think a great descriptor of the world we're in, the pace of change, constant and increasing too. I think adaptability is really key. And you said something there again that I picked up on that I really like. And it's really, in essence, this idea of you should just lead from wherever you are. Doesn't matter if you've got the corner office or the formal title. So in your experience, as you help prepare that next generation, are there particular skills or behavioral characteristics that these individuals should possess, should work on in order to be successful as a manager or a leader?
Definitely. Above and beyond, people want to be seen, heard, understood, recognized for all that they do and who they are at work and outside of work. Mm-hmm. And if they're not, they're going to go somewhere else. We've seen that, the Great Resignation and all this change that's happening. And with that, I will say, Marcus, the whole command and control leadership style, that is over, way over. To be a leader now really requires a mind shift into a next set of behaviors, values, and even performance measures. So up and coming leaders need to really lean into empathy, listening, not just hearing, listening, resilience, compassion, even mindfulness. And these are not values, skills, tools in your toolbox that are just for your HR business partner or learning and development or the chief people officer. These are those soft skills, Marcus, which I know can be very hard to do, hard to learn, hard to integrate, but they are vital to being a next leader. So what we need is this approach, this shift in mindset, but also in action and intention to lead with a sense of purpose, on purpose, and that will drive employee engagement and belonging and innovation. And in the end, when we see next leaders acting in this way, it retains great talent, it helps attract great talent, and builds a great place to work.
Completely agree. I love, again, what you said. Soft skills are hard, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't pursue them. And I think they're going to be critical with this next generation of leaders. And couldn't agree more about the concept of command and control.
Yeah, and there's one other thing, it's going to take much more than learning and development. It's not enough. Many companies, by the end of the year, you have to have fulfilled watching these many training videos and do that many workshops, and otherwise you get dinged or whatever. This is going to require in-person experiences, collaboration, and even conflict. So many of us are now working from home more, or it's hybrid. And even when we go into the office, maybe there are 5 people, not 50 people, because it wasn't their day to come in or whatever. But we need opportunities to stretch and flex and strengthen these soft skills. These muscle sets, for some people, need to be honed. And doing that in an in-person setting is very different than doing it with a screen. And the other aspect is performance evaluations and metrics and KPIs, key performance indicators, what it takes to be and become a leader. Yes, when you do get the title and the pay increase and the bonus opportunity and the people leadership, they haven't been crisply defined or evangelized yet. It's not enough to deliver the numbers for the business or to have your personal goals and how did I do this? It is essential to be a successful next leader to have EQ on the scorecard.
Totally. And for those who don't know what EQ stands for, emotional intelligence. Want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Thank you for that. Yes.
So Natalie, really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I think we could continue the conversation for hours. However, I do want to circle back with you as more of this next capability and content takes shape for you. I'd like to hear more about it. So I think it's really important, the work that you're doing, and love to hear your perspective today. So thank you so much for joining me.
It has been a delight. And for any of your listeners that want to dig in and engage more, I welcome you to reach out on LinkedIn, to Natalie Fine and watch coming soon a website with a lot more around being a next leader and next leadership.
That sounds great. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Marcus.